Real stories. Hello there, and welcome back to Real Stories, the podcast that celebrates the weird and wonderful world of stories. We're not doing our names this week because Tom kicked off about it last week, so who knows? Who knows who we are?
But we have still got two stories with us, as per usual.
Yep.
And we've got the mission of figuring out whether those stories are true or a film.
Mm-hmm.
And for any eagle-eyed viewers who are watching the video of this, we are wearing the same clothes as last week's episode.
We are. Although
we've all not showered.
No. Although there was that 3-week streak where I kept wearing the same clothes and we actually weren't filming them back to back.
Homer Simpson can do it, so you can do
Exactly. This is the first time we are actually filming back to back. I did wonder, should I bring in a hoodie or something? But it's quite warm today.
Yeah. That's one thing I miss about being at school is that you never had to think about what you were wearing.
No, that's true.
Remember the panic of non-uniform day?
Yeah. Did you call it mufti back in the day?
Never heard that in my life.
What? Really?
Mufti?
Yeah. We had mufti
Why is it
day.
called mufti?
I don't know.
Like, how do you spell that?
I don't know.
Like mufti, as in like a
Mufti,
t-shirt?
like M-U-F-T-I, probably?
No, but that makes it sound like something I don't want to do.
Do you want to do some mufti?
Yeah, do you want to come to the back and do some mufti with me?
Well, there we go. Write in if you've heard of mufti. We'd love to hear from you.
Also, though, on the topic of being younger, what's one thing from when you were younger that you regret giving up?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Have some thinking time.
I don't want thinking time.
Okay,
I want
don't think about it.
spontaneous time. I think I guess the obvious thing is like sports and instruments because they're the kind of things you're like, I wish I carried on doing
If you could have carried on doing one instrument.
Probably the guitar.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Imagine we could both play the guitar now.
Yeah. Sometimes you see someone playing the guitar and you're like, I wish that was
the
me.
guitar. That
The
would be cool
guitar,
as well.
yeah. But then also, and I guess it's something you have to give up. But I recently went on a walk with my mum on the moors. So we used to live on the moors, and there was a whole area that had been so overgrown for like the past 10 years, but the council for some reason have cut it back, and we went down these paths we hadn't taken for years. That sounded quite metaphorical.
Yeah, did you do that literally and
Beautiful.
figuratively?
Yeah, wow.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, wow. And we went to the area where I used to have a den with some friends, and it brought back so many memories. And it was just such a simple, lovely time when I had a den, and we had like den wars with like another group that had a den. And yeah, we just hadn't been there for like 15 years. So yeah,
making dens.
Making dens.
Should we sack this off or just go
Just
make
go
a
make
den?
a den. Yeah.
How can we go down to the bins near Piccadilly? There's a bit of space there to
let's
make a
do
den.
it. I mean, I say it was peaceful, but at the same time, it was also quite stressful because the first den we were in, some older kids came and were like, "This is our den now."
Wait,
So
was
then-
this when you were with your mum?
Yeah. What?
No, you were walking with your mum and you went in a den and then some older kids
No,
came.
back in the day,
Okay.
we had a den. It was pretty sweet. And then some older kids came and they were like, this is our den now. So then we went and found, actually, it was a better
That's
den.
how Britain did it back in the day.
Yeah,
wasn't
exactly,
it?
yeah. We found this quarry that was pretty cool. So we went in there. And then we had like stick fights with this other den over like patches of land.
Wow.
But yeah, it was quite a cool time. We had little sections, we built little huts and that. It was cool. But that's how I spent all my time doing that.
Why do we have to grow out of this
I
stuff?
know. God, so much fun. Why? What would you say?
Well, I regret giving up.
Yeah.
Magic. Because I used to do magic. I had a magic persona called Tommy Graham. I actually found some old videos recently because I was doing like camera magic. So I'd make things disappear by having a cut in the camera that you couldn't see, but you could see.
Yeah.
But when I was 9, I thought you couldn't see it. But if I'd carried that on, I would have now 20 years of experience of magic.
Well, you did that video. You showed me it recently. That you did like a video for someone's birthday.
Yeah, and I
that was
loved
like,
it.
Yeah, that was really good.
But yeah, I regret doing that. I regret.
It's probably the
giving
best
up
thing you've ever
magic.
done, Tom.
That's my, what's the thing? Piece de resistance.
Yeah, you've peaked.
Yeah.
So what's your story about this week, Tom?
So my story is about the most unlucky human of all time who danced with death again and again before his luck
Oh, it's not that woman.
took a huge 180 turn.
It's not that woman from the other week again, is it?
What, Belle?
Yeah, who was not suspicious
Not
at
suspicious.
all.
No, it's not. It's a male this time.
Well, that sounds good. Mine isn't really a log line, but a question. Did you know that one single boat changed the course of Russian history forever?
No.
Real stories. So it's 1904, and Russia is having a bit of a skirmish with Japan. Okay, they've decided basically that Russia, it's got a lot of harbors, all right, but they're all in the north, and it's cold. It's cold up there. It's chilly. So basically, they're thinking it's a bit cold, a bit chilly. It's not very sleigh up here. We want a warm harbor.
It's not very skibbity up
No,
here.
absolutely not. So they're looking at China and their warm harbors, and they're thinking, I want a piece of that. I'd like a piece of that. And China isn't the conglomerate it is today. Back then, it's pretty easy to invade it if you feel like it.
China.
Yeah. Have you heard of China? But I'm not sure if you're very clued up on Japanese history, but invading China is like kind of their thing. They do it quite a lot. They're always stealing a bit of China. So basically, they're fuming at this. It's kind of like, you know, when you're getting bullied by someone, but then someone else comes over and bullies you, and your original bully's a bit like, hey, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
Yeah, that's relatable, actually.
Yeah. Still happens today. So they get very defensive over this, and a war breaks out, all right, between Russia and Japan. The war is going terribly. They're losing badly. And the Tsar, who's like the king of Russia, he says, oh, you know what? We need more boats involved in this primarily sea battle. We don't have enough boats down there. So he puts together an order for the Baltic fleet, and he tells them, get on down there, get stuck in, right? And I don't know if you know where the Baltics are, Tom, but I've brought a map.
I love that. I saw the map
just
on
in case, because I thought this is going to get confusing, and I'll put this on
perfect
the
for
video
a podcast.
version. Yeah,
perfect.
Because basically the Baltics are here, like near Finland, right? So to get to China, they either need to go right or left. So they either go right over Russia and down towards China, which obviously looks pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah. Well, not really straightforward.
No, not straightforward.
You're essentially half circumnavigating Russia, which is quite the
It's
task.
a big place, and we live on a globe, so it's not a straight line.
What?
Well,
globe? Oh, don't tell me you're not a flat earther.
This is a point of contention. Should we stop this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Or they can go left, which takes them down through Europe, past the UK, and obviously it's a lot bigger. But the whole problem in the first place is that Russia's ports are too cold. It's very cold up north. There's a lot of ice.
Are they so cold that the water is
frozen.
ice?
Yeah, pretty much.
So they're going to skate on the top of it?
Yeah, so they can't go that way. It's written off. It's too cold to go that way.
Derby Day. Issues.
Still Derby Day. So basically, the Tsar's like, right, okay, you're gonna have to go through Europe. You're gonna have to go that way, the long way.
Is this just a really elaborate version of we're going on a bear hunt?
Pretty much, it's the Russian equivalent. So it's gonna go in south. It's gonna be mental. It's gonna take months. But here's one very key detail I forgot to say about the Russian army, the Russian Navy, I should say. They are absolute mad lads.
I can imagine it. Yeah, I'm not going to question that in the slightest.
No, because it's so cold in their ports, they don't really see much action. They're kind of just like,
in what sense?
They're kind of just looking at ice. They can't move for a lot of the time, so they don't really do much. They're fairly useless. Usually pretty drunk on vodka, but which I think is pretty cool actually.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's slay.
Awesome. I don't know why we're using this new language. I still regret the fact that I used the word skibbity in this episode. I'll never use that word again.
So, but it's all good because these unexperienced sailors are put under the command of Admiral Zinovy Roshevsky. He's a man so violent that most of the crew don't even want to go near him. So, that's the sign of a good leader. Yeah, he stinks. He's a pongy guy. But, he's the man for the job, right? He's also pretty drunk most of the time, I think. Yeah. But you know what? Let's crack on. So they've also got some new snazzy boats with some exciting 1900s weapons. So it's around the time before World War I. Everyone's coming up with like new weapons they're gagging to try out. So yeah, they got the crew, they got the boats, they got the man to lead them. Let's hop on. Let's sail, boys. What could go wrong? All right, let's sail.
That was beautifully put set up for the rest of this story.
I know. Well, it turns out quite a lot could go wrong, Tom. Yeah, I'm afraid.
I can imagine.
Pretty quickly, too, because immediately after the Russian flagship and all the other boats set off, they ran aground.
Meaning that they came into land?
They just crashed, like, pretty much straight away.
How is that possible?
I don't know. It's not ideal.
Did they not look at how deep it was? Did they not, throw a stone in the water?
They were probably too drunk. I don't know. But, it's not ideal. But the boys in China, they need us. Let's sail, all right? So they get the boat out. Unfortunately, 2 of the other battleships involved in the fleet sailed into each other while they were waiting for the flagship to come back into the sea, and they exploded. So there are already 2 ships down. Right. They've not even left the harbour.
You sunk my battleship.
One thing to mention here is that the fleet was constantly alert for Japanese torpedo boats, right? They're always thinking any minute now one's going to sneak up on them. So they're traveling at the top of Denmark when suddenly an enemy ship approaches, okay? They're thinking, oh my God, it's happening. Man the cannons. Don't think they had cannons. They probably
man the cannons.
Something a bit better than cannons. But battle stations. Let's do it.
Get out your muskets.
Exactly. So they start firing rounds of gunfire, all of which miss, I should say. But good news, Tom. The ship turned out to be one of their own. Zenobi's like, oh, you know what? So I meant to do that. All good. And the boat gets to them, and it turns out it's a message from the Tsar, and Zenobi's been promoted. I don't know what to.
Was it like a party boat? That's how they told them. It's like, congratulations. Like when you send one of those people to work for someone that like dances to follow them. It's like, happy birthday.
There's a box, and he's like, oh, God, what's in this? And then a balloon just comes out. So yeah, it's happy days, Tom. It's all going well so far.
It sounds like nothing's gone wrong.
A few days later, one of the boats in their fleet is under attack, and they say there's 8 Japanese torpedo boats attacking them, right? Zenobi's like, oh, heck. So he's like, right, get the whole fleet down there. So they get down there, they start shooting left, right, and center. They're like, come on, let's get them. Only to realize there wasn't 8 Japanese torpedo boats. There was, in fact, none.
A none?
None. There was a none in the water. No, there was 0 boats, which I think we'll all agree. Easy mistake to make.
Is that 8 boats over there? No?
I don't know what they were. No one knows what that boat thought they were. Maybe they were drunk again.
Alcohol.
Yeah, probably. So they keep cracking on, and they reach England, and they're just off the coast of Dogging Bay. So Dogger Bay.
They had to stop there for a bit, didn't they?
Sorry, Dogger Bank, okay. Now, it's important to note here that in 2025, we all know this to be true, but in 1906, the Baltic Fleet were fairly confident they'd already made it to Japan.
Right.
So they're sailing along, thinking, we're there, but they've actually only done about 15% of the journey so far. Not sure how they got it so wrong. But there's a low fog as they're passing the bank, and a warship emerges from the mist.
Did it, though?
It did.
Was it a bird in the sky?
Zenobi's thinking, heck, it's happening. It's those Japanese
He's
torpedo
got his party
boats.
hat on still. Party popper goes off. He's like, oh, no.
Yeah. So he orders, like, fire, get him. So chaos ensues. Zenobi's pretty chuffed because during about 20 minutes of gunfire, they haven't taken on a single hit from a Japanese boat. They're thinking, this is going exceptionally well. But
I wonder what
it turns out
will be here.
They weren't Japanese torpedo boats. And it wasn't even a British torpedo boat or warship. It turns out these were fishing boats, British fishing boats that were just fishing. They shot them for 20 minutes, but they only sank one of these fishing boats, even though there was quite a lot of them. And they killed one sailor. And even though obviously these boats weren't fighting back because they were just fishing boats, they actually turned out to win the battle because
the fishermen did.
The fishermen technically won the battle because 2 Russians were killed from friendly fire during the shooting, and only 1 sailor was killed.
Was it Popeye?
The Baltic Fleet.
He was on there. Popeye the Sailor Man.
Rest in peace.
What?
What?
Is he dead?
Well, one.
Oh, it wouldn't have been Popeye. Though.
Okay.
No one's popping
He
those
never
biceps.
This nearly caused a full-scale war between Britain and Russia, but hey ho, you know what? Let's sail, boys. So they continued on through to Africa, and this is probably the most peaceful part of the journey for them. Nothing goes wrong for a while, but there is a slight problem. They reached the Suez Canal, which was in the news recently because there was that big honking boat stuck in it for a while.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're very clever here. They go, this boat's too big. We can't go through that. We're going to go around it. We're going to go around Africa.
Surely that's quite a hard thing to do when you're on a canal or like a river. It's like, well, we can't go through this. How can you possibly go around
Reverse.
it? Yeah, is that possible in a boat?
Yeah. So a lot of the fleet do go through the canal because they can fit. The mothership and a few others. The mothership? Is that right?
Flagship?
The flagship. Sorry, not the mothership. The flagship decides to go around Africa with a few other boats. So they split up. Morale is low, all right? A lot of people have died. They've not even gone into proper combat yet. They've been sailing for months. But they pass the island of Madagascar. And Zenobi, he's seen the 2005 hit film. He thinks, that's a fun place. Let's go. So they all get off, and they're allowed to go and buy exotic animals, such as venomous snakes and crocodiles. But weirdly, and I don't think you or I would have seen this coming, but once they take them on the boat, they all get loose, and a lot of crew members are poisoned by
I'm glad to hear
reptiles.
it. I think if you're going to buy animals like that, then I hope it comes back to bite you, literally.
I agree, yeah. Well, I mean, what does a snake think is happening in that situation?
Yeah.
Worse still, their fridge broke, meaning they had to chuck... They had to chuck a bunch of spoiled meat overboard. But they try and make a positive out of the situation, and they think, let's do some target practice. Let's try and shoot the meat as it's...
This is the most erratic bunch of people I've ever heard of in my life.
So they start shooting this meat as it's floating away. Unfortunately, though, one man is actually killed from a bullet recoil. So it obviously bounced off something and just...
Off the meat?
Maybe off the meat. I don't know. How hard was that meat?
Excuse you.
So what they decided to have a funeral at sea. This is like the 5th funeral they've had at sea by now. And so they do what they usually do. They throw him overboard. They fire their guns in the air.
Fire them at him. Just target practice.
Maybe,
every opportunity.
Unfortunately, though, they forgot to load the blanks. So they fire the guns off the ship, like the big guns, and accidentally hit another of the ships.
You're having me on.
Which goes up in flames. So they've now been at sea for 6 months. They've had like over 10 deaths, I think, at this point. There's been various skirmishes with the fishing communities around the world. And they have a very small mutiny while they're going around Africa. But they've done it. They've reached China. They've reached the port in China.
It sounds like it's going to be a bit of a bull in a china shop situation here, isn't it?
Well, you'd think,
They're
but
absolute
unfortunately,
carnage.
they've got there quite late. The war is pretty much over. Okay,
right.
The war's done. There's no one left there from Russia. They think they're on their own. Which is obviously a terrifying situation to be in. Also because they don't have enough fuel to go back. So Zenobi's pretty much like, fuck it. Let's sail, boys. Let's do it. Let's hit them hard.
He said that so many times. Let's sail, boys.
But alas, their greatest enemy has returned. Fog, okay? It's a really foggy day. They pass another ship, and praise be, Zenobi thinks that's a Russian boat. That's a Russian boat if ever I've seen one. So he just thinks, you know what, let's send them a message. Let's send them a message. We'll say, here's our locations. Come and help us out. Here's our plans.
What, send the boat? They've just passed the boat.
Yeah. So they've sent him a little like radio message.
Well, saying this is our locations.
Yeah,
like,
here's all of our locations. Here's our plans. Let's hit them hard, right? Let's work together. Unfortunately, you know how before they just sort of went guns blazing thinking they were Japanese ships? This is the one time that might have been helpful because it was a Japanese ship. So the Japanese now know all of their plans. They know where all of the boats are. They know exactly where they're going to hit. And after months of being on edge about Japanese boats, the one Japanese boat they actually come across, they just
missed the opportunity to take it down.
The entire fleet had sunk pretty much immediately.
By this one ship?
No, but obviously that ship gives out a message and they just get overwhelmed.
To be honest, it sounds like one ship could probably take them down.
Probably, yeah. Not even one.
And they've been taken down by more simple things than one boats. Ship. Yes, fishing boats, meat that they've just thrown, spoiled meat.
Exactly. So I got these stats from everythingeverywhere.com. The Japanese lost 3 torpedo boats and 117 sailors, which sounds like quite a lot, to be fair, until you find out that the Russians lost 21 ships and they lost 5,045 sailors.
So was this 1906?
Yeah. It's total, I think it's, 1906. It's couldn't have gone worse, right? The fleet is decimated.
At least there was like equilibrium in the world after that, though.
Well, you say that, Tom. I don't know what happened to Zenobi.
I don't really care. He sounds like someone that he just needs to vanish into the nothingness.
True. But obviously, let's go back to that original question. How did this one useless fleet change history forever?
Let me try and answer it. Everything they did became a handbook as to what not to do, and then it made every single sailor on the planet much stronger and equipped for the high oceans.
Yeah, that's not right. But
okay,
I'm going to say that probably is right as well. It's not the answer I've got.
It's like when I look at you and I think, right, I need to do the opposite and I'll thrive.
Why'd you? Hey,
I'm joking. You're an inspiration to me.
So yeah, obviously, how did this change history forever? Well, the battle ended the Russo-Japanese War for one. That was done and dusted by the end of this, which in turn humiliated the Tsar, caused Russia to be weak at the start of World War I, which ended the Tsar's reign and caused the rise of communism and the Soviets, which obviously takes us kind of it keeps going and going and going until we get to present day Russia. Things that are happening in Russia are happening today because of what happened with this Baltic fleet.
That butterfly flapped its wings.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. If they just didn't shoot that meat. There we go. That's the end of my story.
Well, there isn't even a part of me that thinks that could possibly be a film.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that is expansive. That's like a encyclopedic amount of information to put in a film. Did I go too far? And also the fact that you've used everythingeverywhere.com for the specific facts suggests that maybe this is a real thing. So
I got a bit too excited.
We'll bring up the tense build. I'm going to say I've learned a lot. This feels like I'm in year 9 again, staring at the board as my history teacher, Mr. Barry Johnson.
Yeah, but more fun.
I don't know why I know his full name, my history teacher.
More fun than that, surely.
I'm not sure fun is the word. Because it was it was quite harrowing to hear. But yeah, this is a true story.
You think it's a true story?
If it's wrong, I will run down to the street over there and I'll do a cartwheel in the middle of the road. But when there's no cars coming, because road safety is a key.
That's very true. Okay, well, Tom, I can reveal that it is.
I'm upset. Louder.
No.
You're incorrect.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. You're right.
I wasn't going to allow it.
Yeah, it's true. Obviously, it's true. I think I went too far today. I even provided you with a little
You even
map.
brought a map.
I did.
That's
It's a great story.
That is an amazing story.
I mean, if it hasn't, I think this could make a great comedy. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
My God. Just like some of it is bizarre. Like the stuff with the shooting of the meat and someone gets killed.
It's
and
like
then they go to
Dad's Army
Madagascar.
vibes, isn't it?
It
That
is.
Sort of
Yeah, it's
slapstick in a way.
bonkers.
Not slapstick.
But yeah, that's real. Well done. Real stories.
Yeah, that was a very expansive and winding tale. Mine is similar.
Oh.
But not quite.
Okay.
It's a bit more centralized because we're going to focus on one man's life. Our protagonist of my story this week is Frano Selak. I'm just going to call him Frano. I don't know why I made a point of that. Obviously, I'm going to use his first name.
You don't have to call people by
I'll call you
their full
Rowan
name.
as well, I think. Okay. So Frano lived in Croatia in the 20th century, and it's currently the 21st century.
Nice.
So it was a century before this one. Okay. One day, Frano was on a train, and he was going through a rainy yet picturesque canyon. Looking out the window, you know how you do. You imagine you're in a music video, you're thinking about life and about the world, and you're staring at this beautiful landscape.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the train flew off the tracks
no.
and went flying down the canyon into a big river. And a large number of passengers died, either on impact or they drowned because it went into the river. But Frano was pulled to safety by a random civilian who he never met. Like, he doesn't know their name. I don't think he could even recall their face, okay, because their eyes never met. This person just pulled him out, and then he survived. His arm was broken, and he did suffer from hypothermia. But unlike a lot of other passengers on the train, he survived and he lived to tell the tale.
And that's the end of the story. Thanks, Tom. I think that is real.
And tell the tale, he did. Okay, he was very understandably uneasy about travel after that. He kind of lost a bit of faith in it.
Fair enough.
But a year later, he mustered up the courage to go up into the sky. And what's scarier than the train? A plane. Because it's not even on the floor. It's like if things go wrong, you've got no chance.
No.
Or have you?
Oh.
He's on the plane. He's just getting used to it. You know, it's weird. Even when I go on a plane now, the turbulence is scary. You know, your stomach goes. It was going quite well when all of a sudden the plane door malfunctioned and he got blown out of the door and I've used the word plummeted a lot here. There's a lot of plummeting in this story. Okay.
Spoilers.
He plummeted down into a haystack.
Oh, wow.
And he survived.
That's literally straight out of a cartoon.
I can just imagine as he came down from the plane, you could just hear this.
Yeah.
And he did survive. The plane crashed and nearly 20 people died.
Oh, God.
But he survived. And a bit of a silver lining is that he got married a little bit after this. That's not really a silver lining.
Nice.
That's got no connection to the plane. He probably would have got married if it hadn't happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got married and then unfortunately divorced a little bit after that. After this incident, Frano was an emotional, nervous wreck.
About marriage or planes?
About the whole thing. His
Just
whole
life.
nervous system is just in overdrive.
Everything's betraying him.
He swore never to fly again. And he preferred to only go by car or bus because those were the two transports that had never failed him.
Will he walk?
No.
Okay.
He went through a period of quite something you could say resembled equilibrium almost. You know, it was quite peaceful. Nothing was going wrong.
No.
Until 3 years later.
Oh, no.
When he was taking a seemingly harmless bus journey. And you remember, he put his faith in buses. He was like, you've never wronged me.
Oh, no.
You have my heart. I will get on you and I will look out the window and you will be my vessel for music video imagination now.
Oh, no. He didn't get on a megabus, did he?
Hopefully
Bound
not.
to go wrong.
He got one of those buses that's like, I am a B network bus waiting to be painted yellow.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
why have you spent money putting that sticker on the
just
bus?
paint it yellow.
Oh, just don't tell me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this bus is about to be yellow. Okay, that's added so much value to my day. Thank you.
This is a great reference for a podcast that we listen globally.
Anyway, Frano's on the bus when it skids off the road.
Oh, no.
And can you guess what it does?
Does it plummet?
It plummets into a river.
Oh.
4 passengers from the bus drowned.
Another river.
There's a lot of rivers.
Yeah. There's a lot of rivers. Someone needs to do something about it.
There's
too many rivers.
4 passengers drowned, but Frano was able to swim to safety with only a few cuts and bruises. And off the back of that, he got married.
Again, is he just do that to celebrate surviving?
Potentially, yeah. It's like he rides that high and he's like, what shall I do now? You take my hand in marriage. But then it doesn't go well. He gets divorced once more. Okay, so that's 2 marriages, 2 divorces. He then swore to only take transport that he was in control of. For example, a car.
Yep.
And walking. Plane, no. Train, no. Bus, no. He was an incredibly cautious driver, and other people would sometimes get frustrated with him because he was overly cautious.
Yeah,
but I don't blame him. I'm quite cautious these days,
but when you're stuck behind someone that's doing 20, like 50, you're like,
well, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
but
think there should be penalties for that sort of thing. Like if you're going 35 on the motorway,
you're dead to me.
You're worse than someone going 200. 4 years after the bus crash, Frano was driving down the road when his car caught fire.
Oh no! Did he plummet?
No plummeting here, no, because he was on a flat road.
That's good.
And either side was, let's say, barriers, so he couldn't have plummeted anywhere.
Was it like his instinct to just be like, I need to find something to plummet?
I must plummet now. He managed to pull over, and he narrowly escaped before the engine fully blew up, big time boom boom. Okay, if he was in that car, he would have been dead. But such as his luck, he got out, he watched it from a distance, and because he's quite cool, I imagine he turned the other way and walked and didn't even look.
He went, I hear wedding bells.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
He got married once more. But did the relationship go well?
No.
No, he got divorced again, unfortunately for him. 3 years later, he got a new car, or he'd had a new car. Well, he got one quite soon afterwards.
Yeah.
It was all right. He was thinking, my car issues must be over now, because I've had my bad luck. I've not had 2 things in a plane. I've not had 2 things in a bus. I've had 1 in a car now, so there's not going to be another one.
Yeah.
So he's driving with a bit of peace of mind when...
He needs to stop doing this.
What, driving?
Just thinking he's fine.
Just give up and sit at home.
Yeah, stop going outside, man.
He doesn't know this, but his engine is getting covered in oil due to a malfunctioning fuel pump.
Right.
And while he is driving down the motorway, flames start shooting out of the air vents.
Jesus.
Almost like something from a film. Like properly
Mad
shooting
Max.
out. They burn him. And all his hair is singed off.
Yeah.
Front, back, and sides, 0. Not what he's wanting. He just wanted to drive down the motorway, and now he's had a trim. But other than that, he's pretty much unharmed.
My God.
He then got quite lucky, and he lived another 20 years without any real issues. And he was a happy man.
Did he get married?
He did, but
No?
that's not why he's happy. He's happy just because if all these things happen, you're going to get this huge appreciation for life.
Yeah.
It's like if you've had a near miss, you're going to appreciate every small thing.
He might get cocky, though. That's the only thing.
Maybe he will do.
Oh, no.
Okay, but he's appreciating life, and he's going by day, and he's looking up at the sky, he's smelling the roses, he's smiling at strangers, he's sitting on benches, he's
never
waving
been
at
on
dogs.
a boat.
He's never been on a boat.
Is he about to get on a boat?
No.
Okay.
We've had enough boats in this episode. But one day...
He's sailing along, he's having a lovely time, when all of a sudden a Russian fleet starts shooting at him.
And then he just hears in the distance, sail, boys. But one day, he's walking down the street, and a bus, this is his arch nemesis,
no.
a bus swerves and hits him. Luckily, the driver had managed to slam the brakes just enough for it to hit him at the force where he survives it, and he gets some injuries, but only minor. And then can you guess what he does after that?
Just to get married.
He got married again. He got married, but unfortunately, it was another doomed relationship, and he was divorced not long afterwards.
I think he's the problem here, to be honest.
I think he maybe is.
Yeah.
He appreciates life a bit too much. He expects other people to appreciate life in the same way, and he's like, should we go for a 7-hour walk and look at the stars? And they'll be like, I've got work to do. He's like, oh, you are so dead to life.
Sounds a bit like David Bowie or something.
But no, his relationship fell apart again.
Okay.
And this was unfortunately the start of another string of disasters.
Oh, no.
As a little while later, he was driving down the road and only narrowly avoided a head-on collision with a huge United Nations truck. And I don't know if you've ever seen a United Nations truck, but if you get hit by a United Nations truck, you are nothing anymore. There's not even remnants of you. Because United Nations.
Yeah. Fair enough.
As Frano swerved off the road into a guardrail, which gave way under the force of his car and it went straight through, he is thrown through the windshield. Luckily, he manages to grab a branch on a tree. Below him, he watches his car as it plummets 300 feet to the ground.
Oh, it's good to see plummeting return.
And then he uses his hysterical strength to swing himself back to safety. So hysterical strength is like you're in when you're in a moment of hysteria where it's life or death, you get this new level of strength. It's like when Eddie Hall, the strongman, did his 500-kilogram lift. So he deadlifted half a ton. He said that he trained himself up with a psychiatrist to imagine the weights were a car and his daughter was trapped under the car.
Right.
So in that moment, he was imagining that he was lifting a car off his daughter, which is why he managed to get it up.
Okay.
And then his brain bled, and it was worth it. Okay, but yeah, he used his hysterical strength to swing himself back to safety. He then got married for a 5th time. And you know what?
I'm starting to think that one, it's his fault that these accidents are happening. That he's a bad driver or something to do with him being wrong. And the same with the marriage.
What, you think all these things were his fault? Or
Not
you
all of them, but all the ones involving a car.
Yeah, maybe.
At some point, you got to question it.
Give him some benefit of doubt because he gets married again, and this one goes well for
I mean,
20
he must be
years.
getting on a bit by now.
He's old now,
Yeah.
but maybe he just kind of gives up, and they're both at a stage where it's like, they met one of those things where it's like, if we're both 70 years old and unmarried, we'll just get married and we'll just live till we die, and that'll be that.
Which won't be long, probably.
No.
Just next time we get in a car.
Yeah. There's one twist in Frano's life, but it is not in the direction he was probably expecting. He's probably on edge all the time thinking, what's going to happen next? And something does happen. He wins nearly €1 million on the lottery.
Wow.
Okay, finally, something that he can celebrate about.
Yeah.
He is being an anomaly in so many situations, like things that have happened to nobody else have happened to him again and again and again. And this time he wins the lottery. And he lives a lavish lifestyle for a little bit, and then he thinks, I've had enough extremities in my life. I just want to be normal. So he gives most of that money away to his friends and his family, and he just lives a humble life.
Oh, that's nice.
Until he died at an old age from natural causes. He gave himself up to the elements because he'd survived so many times that he thought, my time is now. And he plummeted
into death.
into the afterlife.
Oh, nice.
And that is the story of Frano. The question on the table there, real or film?
I actually think you might have been trying to have me on with this story.
You reckon?
I think throughout you were throwing in little hints. You kept saying, more than usual, saying, like a film. I don't know.
I think I said that once.
Unbelievable. I swear you said that a couple of times.
Maybe. We'll have to watch it back.
I think the thing about the lottery at the end makes me maybe edge towards it being a real story. I can see that happening, and I can see his story coming out because he won the lottery and then he was in the paper or something.
What are the odds of winning the lottery, though?
Very slim, but it
Should we
happens,
Google
isn't
that?
it?
So the odds of winning the lottery are 1 in 45 million. However, it's used to be 1 in 7.5 million before the National Lottery added another number to the ticket and increased the ball pool from 49 to 59 numbers.
Thanks, Google AI.
No, that's straight from my memory store.
Sorry. But also, what are the chances of crashing in a plane? Pretty low.
Give me a second.
Get Googling again.
So the odds of being in a fatal commercial plane crash are extremely low, estimated at around 1 in 11 million, making air travel a very safe mode of transport.
So if anyone's going to win the lottery, I'd say it's this guy. I do think this would make a good film, once again. I think it's probably true.
Correct.
Yes!
We are on the ball today with these guesses. Well done.
Wow.
Okay. I will say that none of his experiences have actually been verified. So he was a real person.
Okay.
And
he could have just been in an old people's home going, did you know I once crashed a plane?
Well, the line, like people have fact checked and the facts don't really line up, i.e., there is no record of a plane crash around Croatia in 1963. So people are like, how could you, you've experienced a plane crash that no one else seems to have experienced. So it is a true story, but only in his word. And he definitely won the lottery. Right. But people are just like, I don't really believe that all this stuff happened.
If all of those things happen, I believe him. Why would he lie?
Well, because I don't know. Well, he's made it onto the Real Stories podcast, so his name is he's worldwide now.
I know. If he was alive to see it. Real Stories. It's that time again. It's time for our real commendation. Tom, hit me.
Well, I wasn't really too sure what to recommend this week, so I've not gone for something new. I've gone for something very old.
Very old.
I looked at films on my Letterboxd.
What was he called? That guy we just heard about?
Pre-Frano.
Pre-Frano, yeah. He's probably watched this.
I think it was his favourite film.
Yeah, he crashed on the way home.
So this is from 1933, the Marx Brothers. I think it's one of the Marx Brothers' biggest films, Duck Soup. And I'm just recommending it for the reason of one joke. There is one joke in it which is one of the most stupid jokes I've ever seen in my life, but I remember crying laughing at it. I'm not going to say what the joke was. You have to watch it, but thank you to the Marx Brothers. I appreciate your movies. So, Duck Soup for me.
Are they likely to be listening? Probably not.
No.
They're not alive. My real recommendation this week is, I'm just going to do the last thing I watched, which was Here.
But you didn't really like it.
I didn't really like it.
Huge recommendation from you there.
Yeah, well, I just want... it's one of those things where I like the concept more than the actual execution.
Yeah.
And the main reason I watched it is because I'm writing something that has a very similar concept. And I was like, oh no, am I just writing something that's been done?
Yeah.
But it's very different to what I'm doing. So I'm all right.
So it's
there.
Robert Zemeckis, isn't it? And
It's Robert Zemeckis.
It's
back
like a
with
really
Tom Hanks and-
long-running story that spans a long time.
It's essentially just like one shot. The whole film is one shot.
But not in the same
not-
way that Adolescence is one shot.
No, is in like it's stationary in the corner of a living room of a house, but you go from like basically prehistoric times to modern day in this house. But the main story involves Tom Hanks' character. There's lots of different characters and people that live in the house and are there. None of them are that interesting. I guess Tom Hanks' character is maybe the most interesting, but that's only because he gets the most screen time. And they use a lot of digital effects to make him look young and make him look old. And I think, to be fair, the whole film could have been set in a green screen. I don't know if any aspect of that house was real. It looked very digital. In fact, do you know when you go to a museum and it's talking about something and they have like a little film on in the corner and it sort of goes through the years and stuff like that? It felt a bit like that, but like an hour and a half long.
Well, most importantly, when Tom Hanks sends a letter and he puts his name, he just puts T. Hanks and it says thanks.
Great stuff. This is why people listen. Real stories.
Oh, this is where I have to think on my feet, isn't it? This always stresses me out, this bit.
There we go, Tom. Another great episode.
Another epic one for us.
Oh, what a treat. And we give it for free. Can you believe it?
I know.
Before we go, as always, we'd like to thank our sponsor. And this week it is The Taste of Crayons. Tom, would you like to tell us a bit more about The Taste of Crayons?
Sometimes you're in your kitchen and you're looking in the cupboards and you've just got dry pasta and mouldy bread and dead rats. And you think, I need some colour. And they say you need to eat colour in every diet. You shouldn't just have a plate that's full of brown food.
It's true, yeah.
So just get out the Crayola tin, get the green one, give it a nibble.
We'd also like to thank our other sponsor, Q Podcast. If you're looking to start a podcast, as always, hit up Q Podcast. They really are the team for you. They'll get you a cracking little podcast in no time at all, won't they, Tom? So give them an email, hey@qpodcast.com, or head to their website, www.qpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and then you'll never miss an episode. And we still have a Google form where you can send in your own stories in the description if you'd like to do that.
Keep them coming. We've loved them so far.
that one we had. But until next time.
And to finish off, we'll give our 2-line rhyme. Thank you for watching Real Stories.
If you don't, you're big bories.
Take care, everyone.
Real Stories.